Well, summer is a really fun and great time to go on a vacation as a family, but as homesteaders, it can be really challenging to actually leave the property and go to a vacation destination and have everything here at home stay in one piece. So today I'm going to share some tips with you in how we navigate actually leaving the homestead and coming back to everything still being in one piece. If this is your first time here, my name is Brianna, and my husband Gray and I live a slow life at home, learning, practicing, and teaching our children traditional skills. Well, we are a young family. We have 4 small children, and though one of our main goals is to teach them old skills and homestead together as a family and make home really a place we don't want to leave, it is really important to also be able to go places and take our children on vacations and show them other things besides what's here on our property. And since we homeschool, I find that this is vital to their learning and education. And so we have a lot of things going on at home and a lot of moving parts. So today I'm going to be sharing 5 tips in how you can get your property ready and what we kind of go through as a mental checklist before we leave for any kind of vacation, short or long. The first question you might be asking, especially if you're a new homesteader, is it even possible? Is it possible to leave, take vacations, and frequent vacations? The short answer to that is yes, it's very possible, and I actually encourage you to take those little vacations because it's going to help you avoid burnout. Because if you're just getting started, everything is really exciting and fresh, but after you've been doing it for years and years and years, vacation from the homestead is possible and highly encouraged. For the longevity of your homestead, it's important to take breaks. Just as taking care of a homestead is complex because there are so many moving parts, leaving it for a while seems complicated. So yes, it's possible, but proper planning is crucial. Traveling away from the homestead is a lot different than traveling away from a home with a no or low maintenance plants and animals. It's not as easy as packing your bags and taking off. The first tip is the first tip for a reason. This is huge if you do any kind of homesteading or have a lot of maintenance at home, is to plan your vacation around times that are less demanding on the homestead. So for us, we have experimented over the years, and leaving during planting season or harvest season is not a good idea. It's really hard to expect the people that are helping us take care of the garden, the orchard, the animals, to do these extra chores. And so for us, taking a vacation, unless it's something that is out of our control, family emergencies, or something that we didn't schedule but we need to go to, we avoid at all costs leaving during these crucial times on our homestead. Just as the seasons or cycles in farm life, it is important to recognize that before you plan your trip. If you plan ahead of time, you can anticipate when the slower times are on the homestead. So this might be tricky, again, if you're just getting started, but if you've done it at all, even just for one season, you're going to know when you're planning your vacation, the no-go months and the months that it's okay. So the first step is to plan your vacation around times that are less demanding. Winter is a great time after you've already planted and everything is in and you have watering systems in place, also a great time. But for us, the main thing is we really just avoid planting and harvest seasons. The next thing you need to do is to write out a list of everything that needs to be done while you're gone. We can do a lot out of habit, and it's a really good idea to write everything that you do or that you know needs to get done. Write them down on a piece of paper a few days or even weeks before your anticipated trip. That way you can go through the list and identify what things can you automate so that someone doesn't have to come in and take care of those things. If you can automate your watering systems, if you can automate your feeding systems for your animals, so that the person coming in to help you has less of a burden, which leads me to the next point. So the third step is the most obvious, and that is to find a trusted neighbor or friend or family member that can look after things while you're gone. This is, I almost didn't put it in, but for me, after I've automated everything, I think, okay, who can take care of these remaining items on the to-do list while I'm gone? Now, another thing to consider if you're homesteading that goes along with this point is to perhaps get more than one person if you have a rather large list. So divide and conquer here. You might have one person that maybe doesn't have a lot of experience with farm animals, take care of the dogs and the cats. And then someone that has more experience can help you with your hogs and your sheep and the chickens, gathering the eggs, things like that. The next step is to leave specific instructions. Again, you might have all the information up here and forget that someone else doesn't have all the information that you do. Like, hey, this specific gate latch has a tendency to not lock properly. That's a very important piece of information that you might want to consider leaving for someone. Or this specific animal needs special care. Something that we think, because we do it every day, is really easy to kind of leave off the list, and pretty soon the person that's coming in just thinking, okay, feed the hogs, feed the sheep, might be missing a really important detail that can cause a problem later. So this leads me to my last point, and that is to be ready to return. That's kind of, be flexible. Things tend to go wrong every time you leave. A water line breaks, animals get out, something's happening with the garden. Be prepared. Just be prepared, be available for that person to contact you. It might just be a question that you can easily answer over the phone, or just be prepared to return. So those are my 5 tips for getting your property ready. A little bonus section here. Outside of all the vacation related planning tasks that you're going to have, like packing and your itinerary and all of that, there are some other tasks that are specific to your homestead you should consider doing before you leave. Secure your fencing. Secure your fencing. I don't know why it is, but animals like to get out. They just do. Whenever you're gone on a vacation is when the animals get out, and then the poor person who is helping you take care of everything has to deal with something that was unexpected, like sheep getting across the road. So make sure your fencing is secure. The next thing that's nice is to clean the bedding, so that that's not something that the person is thinking, should I do this? Do I need to do this? This looks a little questionable. Clean nesting boxes, clean any bedding before you leave. Again, I talked about in the 5 tips, automate where you can with floats on water troughs, irrigation, simplify systems you can, like moving the feed closer to the animals. That's really helpful for the person feeding. We don't always have the most efficient system in where we store the feed in proximity to the animals, but whenever we leave, we really like to have the chicken feed right next to the chickens so that it's really easy for the person to pop by and take care of everything. Deep mulch. So we like to put a little bit of extra mulch on the garden beds, the trees, just in case there goes a period of time that there isn't quite enough water. It kind of gives that protection, because where we live, we have a really dry climate and things dry out really fast. The other thing that we like to do is to purchase way more feed than you're going to need for the length of your stay. So again, not only can things go wrong on the homestead, they can also go wrong on your trip. And so it could be that you maybe miss a flight or can't get home in time, in which case it's nice to have extra feed on the property so that the person that is helping you tend to your homestead isn't then trying to figure out where to get the feed and having to deal with extra trouble. Now, if this information was helpful for you, I have an entire blog post written out with specific instructions on each species of animals that we raise, at least, and the garden, and kind of gives you a more detailed checklist on things to do if you're going to be vacationing and you have a small or a large homestead. Now, and this is a really personalized list that will develop over time. I suggest keeping a Google Docs. That's what I like to do, is just keep a checklist that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time that you want to leave. So have a checklist. You're going to find maybe the first trip that you messed something up or missed something, and that's okay. Just kind of take a mental note, write that down, and put it on the list for next time so that each time you leave, it's a really smooth a transition to getting ready to leave, leaving, and then returning. Because as homesteaders, we need to take a break. We need to get off the homestead. As much as we love this lifestyle, anyone can get burnt out doing the same thing again and again and again, day after day. And so I hope that this was helpful. If you are planning a trip, tell me where in the comments below. And as always,